Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something really cool. We're taking a standard, frankly boring vocabulary list and transforming it into a dynamic thematic journey. We're zeroing in on Lesson 12 from that classic text, 504 Absolutely Essential Words. Look, if you've ever stared blankly at a list of vocabulary and just thought, man, how am I ever going to remember all these disconnected terms? Well, you are in exactly the right place. We are completely bypassing those old, tedious flashcard methods. Instead, we're going to instantly level up your daily communication by grouping these essential words into meaningful, real-world mental toolkits. Let's get into it.
Here's our roadmap for Lesson 12. 1. The 12 essential words. 2. Sparking action and change. 3. Society and city life. 4. Expressing yourself clearly. 5. Spotlight on word origins. And finally, 6. Vocabulary in practice. Let's jump right in.
All right, so here's our raw material straight from the source text. This is the master list of all 12 words we're going to absolutely master today. We've got everything in here ranging from ignite and abolish to urgent and adequate. And yeah, just staring at a massive list like this straight down the page, it can feel a little bit overwhelming, right? But seriously, don't worry. By the end of this explainer, every single one of these 12 words is going to have a permanent, logically organized home right in your brain. We're going to build real context around them, and it all starts with our very first thematic group.
Section 1. Sparking action and change, words with impact. We begin with our first thematic chunk, focusing squarely on words that describe drastic shifts, movement, and environmental changes.
Let's kick things off with a real heavy hitter. The source transcripts for this lesson go out of their way to emphasize exact translation nuances, especially for a word like abolish. Learning this word means you're talking about completely doing away with a system or a rule. This is not a soft word, guys. The audio specifically highlights the phrase, do away with completely. So when you use this word, you are communicating the absolute, undisputed end to something.
The crucial takeaway here is that you aren't just pausing a process, you are destroying it entirely. Seriously, whether it's an outdated rule, a law, or even just an old habit, to abolish it means it literally no longer exists. It is wiped off the books for good.
Listen to this sentence from our source material's sample sentences. The death penalty has recently been abolished in our state. Notice how the word abolished carries so much legal and societal weight here. You definitely wouldn't say the penalty was simply stopped or, canceled. No way. Abolished communicates a formal, permanent legislative change. That is exactly the power of pulling the precise word from your toolkit.
Next up in our action toolkit is a word that really brings the heat. Drawing directly from the audio lessons, you can hear the sharp vocal delivery of the word ignite, which simply means to spark or set on fire. The source material gives us this incredibly vivid image of a spark plug in a car engine. Think about it. A spark plug doesn't just warm things up, it ignites the fuel to create explosive momentum. And you can totally use this metaphorically too, like how a single careless remark can ignite a massive argument between siblings.
So by grouping these four words together, ignite, abolish, decrease, and pollute, your brain now actually has a dedicated, easy-to-reach folder for verbs that trigger significant actions. Think about it. Whether you're setting something in motion with ignite, ending it forever with abolish, lowering its volume with decrease, or dirtying an environment with pollute, you now have the exact active vocabulary to describe high-stakes, impactful changes in the world. Moving on to Section 2, Society and City Life, Navigating the World. Let's see how our words build into this next toolkit, giving us the exact language we need to describe the actual communities we live in.
Obviously, living in a society requires rules, right? And that introduces our next essential word, prohibit, which means to legally or strictly forbid an action. Just like abolish was our go-to power word for ending something, prohibit is your heavy-duty word for preventing something from happening in the first place. It strongly implies that an authority figure or maybe a governing body has drawn a very firm line in the sand.
This sentence from the text anchors the definition so perfectly. The law prohibits the use of guns to settle a conflict. It shows us exactly how authority restricts certain behaviors to ensure public safety. Once again, the source material uses these high-stakes civic examples to just cement the meaning in our minds. When the law gets involved, the action isn't just frowned upon, it is completely 100% prohibited. So go ahead and add these four interconnected words to your new society toolkit: urban, population, prohibit, and reveal. See how they logically flow together? You can talk about a population living in an urban environment, the laws that prohibit certain dangerous behaviors to keep that city safe, and the crucial evidence that journalists must reveal to the public. Grouping them like this is a total game changer. It helps you confidently articulate everything from basic city demographics all the way to the exposure of deep societal secrets.
All right, Section 3, Expressing Yourself Clearly, Communication Keys. Let's dive right into our third toolkit, which is packed with adjectives that clarify exactly how we interact and express our needs to others.
Notice the huge emphasis on transparency here. Being frank means totally dropping your filter and speaking the undeniable, unvarnished truth. The source text makes a really great point here. It notes that people actually like someone who is frank because they always know exactly where they stand. It's an absolutely essential word for those moments when you just need to cut through the noise and deliver your real feelings without any sugarcoating whatsoever.
But hey, what if what you need to communicate isn't just true, but incredibly time-sensitive? Well, when a situation demands immediate, drop-everything action, you use our next essential word, urgent. Check out the context from the text here. It mentions a lifeguard responding to a cry for help. Urgent is definitely not for casual, everyday requests. It is strictly reserved for when attention is demanded right this very second.
So with the words frank, urgent, adequate, and audible, you now possess the precise adjectives you need to make absolutely sure your voice and your intentions are perfectly understood. Think about it. If your communication is audible, it can actually be heard. If it's adequate, it's exactly as much as is needed, no more, no less. Combine that with being frank and expressing urgent needs, boom, you've got yourself a completely bulletproof communication toolkit.
Section 4, Spotlight on Word Origins, a Cosmic Backstory. Now let's shift our pace a little bit, from strict definitions to some really cool storytelling, and explore the fascinating historical etymology of one of our action words. Our source text reveals this awesome nugget of history. Back in 1973 and 1974, massive global attention was focused on the blazing comet Kohoutek. And the text actually uses this astronomical event to teach us that people back in medieval times referred to a wide variety of natural phenomena as meteors. But more specifically, they referred to the fiery things, like lightning strikes and shooting stars, as igneous meteors. What is so amazing about this is how this ancient fiery root connects directly to our modern English word ignite, forever linking a simple, everyday match to the blazing stars in the sky. When you ignite a campfire today, you are literally using the exact same root word those medieval astronomers used to describe the fiery heavens. I mean, how cool is that? It just makes the vocabulary feel so much more alive. Finally, Section 5, Vocabulary in Practice. Test your knowledge. Context is literally everything, so let's actually put your new mental toolkits to the test using the book's exact exercises.
Listen to this fill-in-the-blank sentence straight from the text. Dry matches to blank the campfire were sought by the Boy Scout. All right, think back to our action toolkit and maybe those cosmic origins we just discussed. What word perfectly fills this blank? You're looking for a verb that means to set on fire, exactly what a Boy Scout would do with a pack of dry matches.
Yep, you guessed it. The answer is clearly ignite. And honestly, as you work through the rest of the exercises for this lesson, you'll probably realize these words just aren't intimidating anymore. You can easily spot where urban, prohibit, or adequate might fit perfectly, simply because you now deeply understand the thematic families these words belong to. You aren't just blindly guessing anymore, you're selecting the exact right tool for the job. So, you've successfully conquered Lesson 12 by organizing this information logically. We took a totally flat, boring list and transformed it into dynamic toolkits for action, society, and communication. So my final question to you today is this. Which of these essential words are you going to deploy in your very next conversation? Are you going to be completely frank with a friend, or perhaps ignite a brand new idea at work? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me in this explainer, and keep building that vocabulary.